So, before we go on to the next item on the agenda and present Jamie with his gavel of office, I'd just like to make a few comments about the past year. And I'll apologize up front if I'm a little long-winded today. Keith always said that every time I'm in front of the microphone I should keep it brief, but I'm pretty sure I can ignore Keith. My cliche has always been, going back to the break when I was a kid and I used to do a bit of acting and stuff, is that the worst thing you can give me is a microphone and a captive audience. So I'll just, I will try to keep it brief. I do have a few things that I want to touch on. We have one of the best chambers of commerce in Ontario. I have thoroughly enjoyed my year as chair. People have been asking me over the last few weeks if I'm relieved that my year is over, and I can say quite honestly the opposite. I will admit it was busy, I will not lie, and I will give thanks to many people, first of all starting to my staff at Horn, who took the opportunity that they were given to do more and kept me on track. My business actually grew in 2009 and in a lot of ways matured. It forced my team to do more and has really set me on a path to being the type of partner in an accounting firm that I want to be. I can say confidently that I have achieved everything that I set out to in this year, and I've benefited from my year as chair in more ways than I imagined. I firmly believe that I'm a better person for having taken on this tremendous responsibility. When I did this last year, on April the 1st, and I went around the room and I was meeting people, I met all these past chairs, and we recognized them earlier here tonight. And I told this story many times over the last year. I was so impressed. Right back to people from the early 70s, or Jim Parker, who I know as well from that era. They remember exactly what their membership number was. They remember exactly what the issues were when they did it. They remember the people that were on their board. This is some 30 years later or more for some people. So it obviously has an impact on you when you do this. And I think I'm going to take away exactly those same feelings. And 20 years from now, if I'm still out in the business community in Burlington, I'll be telling that story. The annual general meeting here, I wandered into one of these about 7 years ago, and the first fellow I struck up a conversation with said, "You should join a committee." And many years later, here I am standing at the podium. So on to a few thank yous. I want to thank first and foremost the incredible staff in the Chamber office. These are very hardworking people who are dedicated to providing you, the members, with first-class service, and we should all applaud their efforts. And I also want to say a very special thank you to our President, Keith Hoey, for without him I would not have looked so organized and professional. As I wrote in one of my articles, just imagine an engineer and an accountant coexisting. So we did pretty well together, and our wives became friends, and we got to travel a little bit, and I'm sure that's going to continue on. We had quite a nice working relationship, so I thank him. To my board of directors, I say that your dedication and your professionalism and your sage advice have guided this chamber through one very tough year. And to the 100+ volunteers that run our committees, please keep up the good work. For those of you that don't know, we have a dedicated staff, but we also have a number of volunteers that do a lot of the late work for events like this, and business before noons, and business after fives, and education events. That's what makes us have one of the best chambers in the province, and I'm quite proud of all of you. Finally, a huge thank you to my patient wife, Amy, who's sitting back there, who can now pretty much stop asking me why I'm going to so many chambers. Just a few words on the year in review. When I started my term as chair and I stood at this microphone last year, I said that one of my stated goals was to increase the visibility of our advocacy work that we know is so important. We do networking well. We do education very well. But how do we do advocacy? What is that? And I've said many times over the last year that one member has the power to change the course of politics at all levels in this country. And everyone really needs to understand and appreciate the power of the Chamber lobby across our country. I remember being at the Ontario Chamber of Commerce conference twice, and you get up and all these chambers submit resolutions. The Ontario Chamber of Commerce works them and puts them into a policy book, and all those policies end up on Dalton McGuinney's desk. So you could be a member in Burlington sitting on our political action committee and you're upset about the doctor shortage or the budget or another issue. Write a policy. You write a policy, you get a committee to approve it, you get our board to approve it, it goes to the Ontario Chamber. Ultimately, your idea, your feelings, your representations ended up on Dalton McGuinney's desk, ended up on Stephen Harper's desk. And I wanted to increase that. I wanted people to understand that more, and I hope you did. And to that end, we hosted 5 business forums with several prominent politicians. We had Mr. Flaherty in town. We attended the Ontario and Canadian Chamber of Commerce conferences and voted on policy. Our political action committee is actually submitting a resolution to the Ontario Chamber of Commerce for their May conference session. So Jamie will get up to the microphone and argue that resolution, possibly in front of 300 or 400 people in the room, representing the people on the committee that did the legwork on it. We made several delegations to CAM and Burlington City Council, and I know that through all of that, that we've made a difference through our advocacy work. So we need to continue that, and everybody needs to get involved, and if you're interested, and to try and help make a difference. Some of the other changes that I'm really proud of are the introduction of a new environment committee, so we're trying to be current in that respect. The development of our young professionals network, we're trying to make sure that the chamber stays current, stays relevant, and that's why we did things like have a Facebook page, and Keith is twittering, although he's not quite sure why, and is being followed, and I think that scares him. But all of those things are meant to keep us current. I don't want the Chamber of Commerce, any Chamber of Commerce, especially ours, I don't want that to become our father's Chamber of Commerce. Business changes, people change, we have young people coming in all the time, so we need to keep current. On top of all of that, consider what a record year that we had here at the Chamber. And again, thank you to the staff and the volunteers and all of you that made this happen. We hosted 84 events. That was a lot, and that was a record. We received 77 Business Award nominations, also a record. Membership rose to 1,106 members, and that was a record. And the average BB9 attendance, for those of you that come out in the morning, the average attendance to those events was 69 people. So that's a record, and it's something that we're proud of. Big challenges that we worked to, obviously the recession was one on everybody's list. So for that, we did the Economic Uncertainty Series. It was free to members. We did one a month. We hope that we educated people and helped them. And the HST. So we did 5 sector-specific HST presentations, and again, those were free to members. That's just another way that we did some education work. So it was a busy year, and we accomplished a lot, and I'm quite proud again of all of the people that contributed to that. Jamie is going to do an excellent job. Jamie Cunningham, I remember talking to Jamie early on when I had to try and pick my executive, and I think that I met Jamie probably 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know if he remembers this, but we were at an all-day, it was the BEDC's Business Day, I forget the name of it now, but it was an all-day long education session. It was a trade show. I had a booth, Jamie had a booth. I think he was relatively new at the time, and traffic was light. So Jamie and I got to know each other quite well over 4 or 5 or 6 hours of manning our booths, and that was my first introduction to this fellow. So very smooth at the gala, natural in front of the microphone, involved in the community, interested in the chamber and what it's doing, and I think that he's going to do a great job of serving our chamber. So just to wrap up then, no one who achieves success in life does so without the help of others. The wise and confident acknowledge this help with gratitude, and I thank everyone for their support, and I know that I will remember this past year as one of my greatest experiences, so thank you.